All right. Well, this is the Potomac Valley Scottish Fiddle Club, and I am trying out a new webcam, and I keep looking at my screen, which is not quite where the camera is. So let's see if I can get that set up a little better. So this is a slightly new setup for me, and sorry about the tilting around. Okay, let's see how that works. You'll see. Oh, geez, this is not stable. All right, let's try that. Okay, so welcome to Potomac Valley Scottish Fiddle Club. This is December 2021. And this is our Potomac Valley Scottish Fiddle Club monthly workshop. It is both in person and live stream. So this is our experiment. Hang on while I let somebody in for an in-person workshop. I just started the stream.
Sorry.
Come on in.
Busy my chair?
Yes. Do you have sheet music?
I do.
Okay. And do you have your vaccine card?
Oh, I do. Yes, shall I show it to myself?
Right. So we're working on our system for the hybrid workshops, and just so that you're a little caught up with what we're trying to do here is we are planning to continue live streaming every monthly workshop. We're working on our setup. We had an experiment last month that was not quite up to scratch. So if you were looking at November's meeting, it ended up being in 3 different video parts because a lot of things were not going right at that one. However, we did experiment with doing the hybrid system where there were some people attending in person as well as some people attending via the stream. So that's what we're trying again. Please go ahead and send me some information in chat as to whether you're hearing the sound and seeing the video adequately. We're trying to make it as good as we can, so your feedback really helps. All right. So we have a very small in-person workshop today as our experiment. So it's actually just me and Becky here. But that's probably for me a lot more it makes it a little easier for me to have somebody actually here providing instantaneous feedback, because although you can respond to me in the chat and I'm always watching that during the workshop. Oh, I see Connie Walker is here and you're hearing and seeing. Okay, thank you for sending that, Connie, so that we know what's up. It makes it a little easier for me to pace the workshop properly if somebody is playing along. So even though those of you who are on video have the option to replay this video at any time if you want to review, if I didn't spend enough time on any particular part of a tune, it's really nice to be able to get some of that live feedback. So the topic this month is music from Cape Breton. We always do something from Cape Breton in the course of our Fiddle Club year. And with the pandemic and travel restrictions of various sorts, it's been a little harder for me to get to Cape Breton. However, this summer, the border opened up and I was able to make a trip to Cape Breton, which was exciting and wonderful. However, I have to tell you, most of the Kayleys and sessions were not happening because people were taking the pandemic quite seriously and did not want to gather as they usually would. So I did nonetheless collect tunes, because I always collect tunes when I go to Cape Breton. And so this is from Elke's personal tune collection. So these are tunes that when I hear them, I'm like, oh, I should learn that tune, or that would be a great one for Fiddle Club, and then sometimes when I'm looking for the tunes that are on my little list of ones that I should collect, I find another tune. If I go to some printed source or an online source like YouTube, and then the next video that comes up is like, oh, that's a good tune, or it's medley with another good tune. So this collection today is a little bit like that. It also draws from sessions that I've done in the past, where I just wrote down, what was a good tune and what should we do. So I wanted to start out with one of those. This is from a session that I was at about 4 or 5 years ago. And they were playing those jigs that they play in Cape Breton for square dance sets. And this one came up. Now, it is, I have to say, not technically Scottish, but it's played in Cape Breton, and it's played right in the same medleys with all the Scottish tunes that you would ordinarily hear there. It's called the Myrie River Jig, and it's by Graham Townsend. And some of you may have heard of him. He was a fiddle composer. He lived from 1942 to 1998. Although he was born in Ontario, he lived in various parts of Canada, and he certainly traveled around. And his style was very much influenced by Don Messer, who had this down east style that really was a big influence in Cape Breton as well. So this is definitely one of those down east style Canadian jigs. It fits right in with the Cape Breton style tunes. And these tunes in turn have had influence on 20th century Scottish music. It's not like they develop all in isolation and they never hear each other's music. So the Myrie River itself is in Prince Edward Island.
Oh.
So here's how the tune goes. And the B part to me, that sounds really Scottish.
Yeah.
So because of its modal characteristics, that B part is basically in an A mixolydian key. So it's A with a G natural instead of G sharp. And that's a very Scottish mode. But the A part sounds just like all of those, sort of down east Canadian two-step style jigs, which incidentally are hard to distinguish from the Scottish two-step style jigs of the 20th century. Especially, there's sort of a style of accordion tune that developed in the 20th century in Scotland that has these long phrases and tends to have these long notes, and that A part sounds just like that type of tune. So let's learn it. It's in the key of A. Does everybody have a good A? Let's check. Okay, key of A, pickup notes A and B. And they actually are slow, because unlike some pickup notes where it's, just, these actually take up 2/3 of the space of the jig beat. So the ending note of the phrase would be like. So just so you know how they fit in. For now, let's just find those notes again. And the starting bar, and I think I need to move the camera down just a little so you can see my fingers. There, that's a little better, right? Okay. So we have a pickup notes walking up the scale to C sharp, and then the first bar is C sharp, and then down the scale. And moving on. Yeah. Everybody following the live stream? Is that okay? Send me notice in the chat if you want me to go over anything in particular, or if you have a question, because I can see it as we're doing the workshop. All right, so we have our first measure with the and long E note. So that's bar 2. Let's do that with the pickup. Yeah, let's do it again. All right, next 2 measures, same start, same pickup notes, same phrase with the F sharp. Yeah, okay. Let's do 4 bars because we know they're similar enough. The first time it's a long E, the second time it's a long F sharp, and otherwise the phrase is the same. Climb up the scale and go down. Lovely. Should we do it again?
Yes.
Okay. Oh no, I made a mistake. So it's not quite exactly the same the second time. Up by 1 note. Oh, I'm sorry I made that mistake. Okay. At least I caught it before we got any farther. Okay, so this is the third measure. D, and then the F sharp. Wow, that's ever so much better. Okay, now let's do the 4 bars, and this time I'll do it right. That's so much better. Doesn't that sound better?
It does.
Yeah. Okay, let's move along and get the next part of our phrase because it's a similar idea. We keep building on this little scale idea. The third phrase, though, starts on the B note. So we climb up the scale to a D and down the scale. It's not going down again. It's developing somewhere else. But let's get that bar with the B start. It goes high. G sharp. Okay, so let's put that third 2 bars together. 2 G sharp notes. Okay, that's it. How's that doing?
Okay.
Good. All right. I would say we need to end the phrase, except this is one of those jigs. The phrase is 16 bars long, so we're only approaching the halfway point. But there's good news. Recycling. Just like in many Scottish tunes. So we just had that up to the G sharp, right? And this is the thing that makes it so characteristically a Graham Townsend kind of tune. It goes with the D sharp, okay? So that's the little twist. So an F sharp pickup note. We just had 2 G sharps in a row, right? F sharp pickup note, and then. So let's just learn those 2 triplets: F sharp, E E, and then E D sharp back to E. And it's okay to make that D sharp kind of like extra sharp. So it's just like this little twinge note. It's kind of like the bagpipe thing where it's like, right? Except not quite that icky, right? So, sometimes I was using the pickup note and sometimes I left it out. That's very inconsistent of me, isn't it?
So it's 2 F's with the pickup. Right?
Yes, that 1 F sharp is a pickup note. And then it's F sharp on the downbeat. And here is the turnaround of the phrase. So the end of the 8 bars. Right down the scale. And then we start over again. And as you recall, our pickup notes when we start are. Right. So putting it together, though, it's going to sound like a continuous stream of notes. Down the scale from F sharp. And then pickup notes leading up to the beginning of the phrase. There we go. Okay, so that is our turnaround, and we're now 8 bars in. Let's put the 8 bars together because I think that will serve us well to be reminded of how it all flows. To go again, right? And most of it is going to be the same. So here is the second 8 bar phrase.
Can we do the first one?
Oh, sure, we can.
Since I did the wrong one.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I was going to get back to it again, but let's do it now.
Just so I can do it right.
Let's do it maybe even twice. Okay, now this time going on, it's the same. Still the same. This is the same. This is different. So that's the difference, is just the 2 bars at the end. You even have the same pickup note because that from the G sharp, you still need an F sharp as your transition. Only the first time it's and the second time it's. So let's learn the last ending there, right? It's. Good old-fashioned scale work. You're either going up by a note or down by 1 note each time. One more time on that. We're we're going to add the pickup note as a transition. And once again, the interval you use is just one note down the scale to add that in. So this tune in its A part is very built on scales. You do have these occasional jumps to the low notes or the high notes, but everything in between is moving scale-wise. And so in that way, it's a very comfortable tune.
Yeah.
And you can see why it's popular. This is played by like everybody. It's really, really well known. And I told you I learned it at a session, but really what I did is I played it at this session and I asked the name and wrote it down for future reference. And then I had to go look it up somewhere. And the best version I found was this YouTube version. And let's see if I can find the name of the player that I got it from, because she was awesome. It's very, very much a Canadian style fiddle player. And let's see if I've got it here. Does it jump right up? No. Okay. Let's see if I can find it here. Okay. All right. Oh, there it is. Nope. That's not the right video. Dang. Okay. I will have to I'll have to address that later. But I got this version particularly from that player. I just made note of everything she did because I thought she just had this awesome style. I would want to dance to it. And I will have to look up her name. All right, so we're going to put together the whole A part of the Myrie River Jig. Oh, that was fun. Now, I want to repeat it, but obviously in the tune, that's already 16 bars and you don't repeat it. But let's play it through twice anyway. Okay, so there we go. That is the first half of the Myrie River Jig. Let's learn the second half. Now this has a totally different character. This is the modal part. And not only that, it's mostly built on arpeggios instead of on scales. So the two arpeggios we will want to know is A arpeggio. So those notes are A, C sharp, E, and A. So we're going to be working mainly with those notes. in this tune entirely in the low register. The other arpeggio we want to know is the G arpeggio. So let's find those notes. And those are G, B, D, and G. Okay, so the beginning of the second part of this tune, the B part, once again, we have two pickup notes that are in time from an E going down. And we're heading to that C sharp. And then we're going to play. I told you these arpeggio notes were important, right? So C sharp and E. The next half of that bar is E, C sharp, E. So it's entirely arpeggio work. And again. Excellent. Okay. Next bit is the G arpeggio stuff. So it's putting them together, that's where we get this quick contrast between the really sharp of the C sharp and in the A arpeggio, and then the G sharp, which is mostly open strings. Okay, let's put the pickup notes on top of that. Yep, let's do it again. Next phrase is right up that A arpeggio from the low A. That's not quite the end of it, it's this. That's a G sharp. So we're not strictly modal. We're just generally modal because obviously a dominating characteristic of this part is that G arpeggio with no G sharps in sight in that bar. But here we're just using the G as like an incidental note and therefore it's sharp. And let's finish off the 4-bar phrase. B-E-E-E. B. Okay, let's get our 4-bar phrase put together with the pickup notes in time. Okay, the next phrase is similar. It's pretty much the same at first, but then it goes to a different ending, and so it has a transitional note that's different because of that. It also has a different start because we just ended that 4-bar phrase on an E note, right? So it doesn't actually make sense for us to play. We're already there. So we're just going to hold that E note out and then put 1/8 note. So just 1 D pickup note in time. And stop there. Because we're going to a different place for the ending. We're not doing. That's the first ending. In this case, we reach down here. And we're doing this ending. F sharp pickup note. So let's learn that. F sharp pickup. E to A. And climb the scale from G sharp. Let's finish it off. C sharp. Let's put that together, still keeping it quite slow. Scale. Into the 4-bar phrase. Arpeggio stuff, right? The G arpeggio. F sharp. Okay, I know you want to practice that more, but I'm going to suggest that we practice it in the context of the 8-bar phrase. So the 8-bar phrase, we have the same start with the one caveat of the pickup note. Mm-hmm. And then 2 different endings. The first ending has that B pickup to remind you that you're playing low, arpeggio. And the second ending is the one with the F sharp pickup note to remember you that you're not diving low. To finish it off. All right, let's try this 8-bar phrase of the B part. We need to recycle it through. So when we end that in time, so I have found the first error in my printed music. It always happens. So the last note in the printed music, if you already downloaded it, is written as a quarter note, but it really should properly be an 8th note. Oh. Because there are 2 other 8th notes to match it up with, and it wouldn't be the right amount of time if it were a quarter note. I will fix this, so if you download the sheet music later, it'll already be fixed. All right, so the 8-bar phrase, and we can repeat it as many times as we feel like. Okay. So, that second part is only 8 bars long.
Oh,
So there isn't any extended more.
but it's repeated.
Yeah, since it's played twice, the tune as a whole is a 32-bar tune. But that A part, 16 bars, because it's got those extended phrases with the long notes. B part, only 8, 4-bar phrases. So it is definitely a little study in contrast. I think that's one of the things that makes this tune appealing. This is why it gets played a lot. And it's an excellent step dance tune. I've heard it so many times at step dances. Like you go to the Cape Breton square dances, and when they do the jig figure, and everybody's doing their stepping, everybody steps louder on that second part of this tune, because it just says like step, 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 instead of just like da. You're just like, okay, we could polka around to that or bounce or whatever, but when you get to the second part, it's like, yeah, step, step, step. So let's put it all together. Do you remember how the first part started?
A, B.
A, B, pick up notes. Yes, and it's all about scales, right? So here's the Myrie River Jig from the beginning. We'll start slow. We'll repeat it through a few times and bring the tempo up gradually. Okay, so that's the Prairie River Jig. How do you like it?
That's a great tune. That's a great tune.
Isn't that fun?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, when I heard it at this jam session, I was just like, dang, that is fun. and I love the surprise in the second part, because from the way it starts, you're never expecting it to go modal, and then it does.
Yeah.
And then, so you get this little fun twist.
Mhm.
The tune is already fun, but then it does this other thing, and you're like, oh. So I really like that surprise.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Ready for more by ear?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have had to pretend that I hear people say yes for the a year and a half now. Right. So this is great to have somebody actually saying, "Oh yes, I would like another tune by ear, Elke. Thank you." All right. So we have had some tunes before by John Campbell, and John Campbell, I can't remember his exact dates, but it's something like born in 1935-ish. And then he passed away around 2010. So just about 10 years ago. And when I lived in Boston, when I was first learning about Cape Breton music, John Campbell was around in that scene. He lived in Boston. He's from Inverness County in Cape Breton. He's from Glenora, which is one of those little communities.
A whiskey place. Right?
There is a whiskey distillery there. I don't suppose that's the only thing there. But there's also a waterfall there, Glenora Falls. So it's one of the notable waterfalls of Cape Breton. And anyway, John, sometime early in his life, moved to Boston as his primary residence. He would always go back to Cape Breton in the summer. So I saw him in Cape Breton in summertime as well. But in Boston, you could hear him quite frequently. He would play at the Canadian American Club, which in Boston effectively was a hangout for Cape Bretoners because they're, Boston and Cape Breton have long had this connection. And so if you're looking for places in the States where Cape Bretoners have moved to, Boston is number one by a long shot. And then the secondarily would be like Detroit area.
Oh.
And because it's right next to Windsor, Ontario.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And Windsor, Ontario is one of the Canadian spots that Cape Bretoners have gathered in. So you may have heard of the Dan R. Mcdonald tune, Trip to Windsor. They're talking about Windsor, Ontario. And therefore, they're also talking about Detroit. Because, it's just across the Detroit River, I guess is what it is there. It's one of those narrow places where it's not quite lake, what is it?
Is it Huron?
No.
Detroit, Michigan.
Yes, it is Lake Huron. Okay. Lake Huron and Lake Erie.
Okay.
Yeah, so the passage between those two Great Lakes is the Detroit River.
Okay.
And you just go across the bridge and you're in Windsor, Ontario. So lots of Cape Bretoners there. Mm-hmm. And then any other place in the U.S. is like Okay, there might be some. But Boston is like a really big place. So John Campbell would play frequently for square dances at the Canadian American Club, and or regular people that would be frequent performers there. I was a college student, and I didn't get out to the Canadian American Club that often because it was one of those places that you kind of have to have a car to get to, and I didn't have a car when I was in college. So occasionally I would get out there and get to experience some of the fun. But he was a real regular, and his non-musical life was eventually, I don't know if he did this all the time, but he was like a furnace repairman.
Oh.
You know? So like a pianist who lives in Boston, Terry Traub, who learned Cape Breton style from people visiting Boston mainly. Terry was like, well, I need my furnace repaired. John, can you come over and bring your fiddle? Right. So, right. So anyway, John mainly loved to play for dances. He would also teach workshops. Oh, we're getting some comments. I should read them. Let's see. Okay, went to a folk dance camp in Windsor many years ago and loved the area. Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Yeah. I played for somebody's wedding in that area, in sort of like the, not in Windsor, but in, sort of out on a farm that was not far from there. It was really cool. Nice area to be in. So let me get to his tune. But I'll just remind you of some of the John Campbell tunes you may already know, which Father Francis Cameron and Sandy McIntyre's Trip to Boston are two of his most famous. They have spread far and wide. Everybody plays them. You don't even have to be a Cape Breton style player to have heard these tunes and played them. And then last year, we learned John Campbell's Harbor View Jig.
I love the Harbor View Jig.
Yeah, that's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Glenora reel is also really cool. Now, I'm going to tell you something, which is that part of this tune sounds like a tune that I think I put in a few years back. The last time we took a close look at the Athol collection, we did a tune called Mrs. Kennedy of Greenan. And this tune resembles it, but it's not really the same. Mrs. Kennedy of Greenan has sort of like this extensive development, and this one is very concise and to the point. So the Glenora reel sounds like this. So that's the tune. And John Campbell had some recordings. So if you get a chance to hear some of his recordings, you'll get an idea. He was not a player who was like going for the sweetest tone, and he did not play slow airs much. He mostly played dance tunes. And what is remarkable about his playing is the drive. And I think his last recording was called Timeless, and I just love that recording. It's just really nice. It's like John Campbell at his best. So let's learn this. Pick up note D, and this is a tune in the key of E minor, a reel. Of course, it's called Glenora Reel, right? Why would it be anything else?
Oh, but you can never tell for
You
sure.
can never tell. There's reels that are really jigs, and there are reels that are really Strathspey. So just calling it a reel doesn't necessarily make it one, but this one is. All right. It's in the key of E minor, but it's, for those who keep track, it's Dorian mode E minor. I don't think that actually comes up, but it does in the chords. It has potential effect on the chords. So the pickup note was D. Sorry. And here's the first bar. So it's scale work, but gapped scale. So you're going to be skipping C or C sharp in this tune. it will not be used. And the other note that you're going to skip, no, really, you do use the other notes. You use G from time to time. So I won't say that you skip G, because you don't. Okay, so gapped scale, skipping the C. With the pickup note. Next bar, pickup notes are A, B. And then we climb the scale, come back down. That's half the bar. The next bit is G. With the pickup notes, now the third bar essentially repeats the first. There's a little bit of a twist on the pickup notes because this G is a quarter note. And then you use two pickup notes, F sharp, to get back to your start point. So with the pickups. Okay, now we just have our ending. We're here. We have pickup notes of A and E. And then the last bar is one of these gapped scales. With the pickup notes. Okay, let's put together our 4-bar phrase. And we are now halfway through the tune. There's no extended ending. I told you this was very compact. 4 bars, repeat it. So, how did it start? What pickup note?
D.
D, yes. Okay, so, shall I play it for you first?
Yeah.
Or you can play along if you want. mentioned how John Campbell loved to play step dance and square dance tunes. This is a great step dancing tune because of that rhythmic figure that repeats over and over again. So you can see how you get some certain pattern of footwork going, and then the dancer could repeat it multiple times. So it works really well for step dancing, and I'm not surprised. So let's learn the second part.
Great.
All right, second part, high E pickup note. And in Cape Breton, you probably play this fourth finger and open string at the same time. So in Cape Breton, the fourth finger is used exclusively as an ornament. It's not like in classical music where you're like, oh, I'm not going any higher than the note E, so I won't change strings. That's not the thing in Cape Breton. They happily change strings. But what they want is this fourth finger and open sound where it's thicker. Now, depending on how out of tune you play it, can get really thick. That's too far. But enough to have this little, okay, it's not quite purely matched. That's cool. That is the effect they're looking for. It's just like drones in bagpipes, where, the A of the drone should match the A of the chanter, but it's not meant to be exactly the same because you want it to have some texture. Rather than just like, oh, beep, beep, boop, computer generated pure tones. So this is what makes it interesting. So anytime you think of it, use a fourth finger and open string for any stray E's in this tune. So there's your E pickup. Okay, now we're going to do a sort of arpeggio figure. So those are arpeggio notes. That as a gap scale rather than an arpeggio. You can think of it that way too. It's just a B to start it out and then up the gap scale. Okay, how's that? Everybody got that first bar? Yeah, okay, great. Moving right along then. The pickup notes for the second bar, two of them, A, B. And now we climb the scale from the D note. And an octave jump from D to D. I know, I should have let you try it, right? Okay, so our first two bars of the B part. Find your pickup. Let's do it a few times. you get the idea. The third bar is the same as the first. And the ending is the same as the ending of the first part.
Oh.
That gapped scale going down. So let's do the last two bars. Yeah. Okay. So, let's put together, that's the whole B part, by the way. It's just 4 bars once again, and half of it's repeated. So, in fact, it's more than half repeated if you count the repeat of the ending from the A part. So, and this is where it's quite different from the Mrs. Kennedy of Greenan. The A parts are quite similar, but the B part is different. And this business with the, that's unique to this tune. You know, that octave thing. One more thing that I'll add, as we begin to put this together, you may have opportunities where you have a quarter note, for example, there. And a quarter note in Cape Breton reel is viewed as an opportunity to do burls, if you want. So, if you wish. I'm not going to play it that way while we're playing slowly, but as we eventually put the tune together and speed up, I'll probably start throwing some in. Okay, so the B part, 4 bars put together. Pickup note is E. There. Let's put the whole tune together. Do you remember how it started?
D.
D. Yes, D. So a D pickup note. And then scale bit. High G. So let's do that twice on that.
Oh, it's E, the E pickup. That's what.
Yeah.
That's different than the D part.
Yeah. Right. And in part, that just totally flows. But it's also a John Campbell thing.
Oh.
You know, sort of like, that would be very vanilla. And so John Campbell would jump that up one note. So that's probably, he would probably throw that in traditional tunes that, where he thought, oh no, that going up to the 3rd finger thing. No, we're going to the 4th. He would do that. Okay, so let's play the whole thing.
Okay.
on the B part.
just
See,
very
this is a
exposed right now.
big advantage of doing having some live participation is that I can catch stuff like this. So to clarify on the B part, just climb the scale. I mean, it sounds like it's something really extraordinary, right? So it must be something really weird, but it's actually quite straightforward. It's climb the scale and octave jump. So it's not nearly as crazy as it sounds, but it sounds really wild in context. Okay, let's start at the B part and then continue on. Shall we play it a little faster? Okay. So that is the Glenora reel, and honestly, the proper step dancing tempo is only a little faster than that. Because if you play step dance tunes super fast, the dancers can't do their best steps. You know.
They need a little space.
Yeah, they need a little space. They're sort of like, it depends on the dancer and how good they are, but really, I see the ideal step dance tempo is just a little faster. Cape Breton reels are generally played a little slower than reels at sessions or at Scottish country dances or at contra dances or any other places where you might think of reels being played because of the stepping.
Mm-hmm.
And even when they do Cape Breton square dances, they're doing stepping for a good portion of the dance.
Uh-huh.
And they would not want it super fast because then you can't do your best steps. So it's just a characteristic. It's more about rhythm than about speed.
Yeah, that tune is so cool for the rhythm.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just love it. I tried throwing in a few of the burls,
I could hear
but I didn't go crazy with them this time. I mean, you could do, but I kind of like how it slams on the quarter note.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I like that.
And then the other thing is that this tune is really good for kind of ghosting the first note and then punching the second one.
Yeah.
So in that, I finally got the groove going in there, but it was almost like the first eighth note in each bar was almost disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second note was like, bam.
Yeah.
And that fits in with the Cape Breton step dance rhythm. It kind of propels it to play with that sort of rhythm. And if there's one thing I can say about John Campbell's playing, very rhythmic. Always very rhythmic. So, okay, that's it for that tune. Do we have space for another ear tune?
We'll try it.
We'll try it. Okay, as usual with the third ear tune, I kind of plow through it at a faster rate. You can think of it as a bit of like an ear assist. And so we'll pick this tune because I think it's the most straightforward of the ones that I have selected for this month, other than the ones we already did. And this is a Jerry Holland tune. It's called Wes Mabu Hall. Now, many of you have heard of Mabu in Cape Breton. It is a village, so it's not very big. It's a village-sized little bitty town on the coast in Inverness County. And it's kind of remarkable for the number of well-known musicians that come from that area. So, and that's not just current. So there are lots of well-known musicians who currently live in Mabu, or who have recently lived there. But also you go back through the generations and you find out that there's been a lot of good people playing music in Mabu over the time. So West Mabu is just like west, obviously west of town. Yes, west of the village. You go out onto this little peninsula, and there's a dance hall there, the Wes Mabu Hall, and there's a terrific square dance there. So I've been to this square dance. For a while, I kept encountering Mary Janet Mcdonald, who teaches step dance, at various camps that I was at. And so one time when I was in Cape Breton, looked up Mary Janet and went to visit her. And then she kind of took us to the Wes Mabu Hall.
Oh.
So it wasn't like just going as a tourist. Instead, it was like going under escort with like one of the best step dancers ever. And not only that, but like she knew everybody. And she was like, oh, this is my Uncle Roddy. And this is my mother, sister-in-law. And so I got introduced around, which is just a really nice way to go to a Cape Breton square dance.
So we went the first Cape Breton trip, Fiddle trip. And so this was like our first day there. We'd driven, the 4 hours, and that's something we're like out of our minds. And then we drive down this little narrow road that everybody says, okay, just keep going down there. And it's like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And then all of a sudden there's all these cars. But we were definitely tourists. We didn't dance or anything. We just kind of like peeked our head in and see.
Yeah, and it's true. The very first square dance that I went to in Cape Breton, I basically just watched because I was like, what are they doing? It's good music. I like the dancing, but I don't know what they're doing, and there's no instructions. So you either have to go take a workshop somewhere to figure it out, or you got to observe it and see what they're doing and figure it out. And then I was also trying to figure out the music, and I knew enough of the musicians that I got invited to sit in for some of the squares, which was really cool. So at Wes Mabu Hall, I got invited to sit in by Teresa McClellan, who I don't know, but the McClellan family. This was an older generation. Myrie McClellan played fiddle. She played piano. Teresa McClellan played fiddle, and Ronnie McClellan was either their brother or their father. And then I think there's a Donald McClellan. Anyway, the siblings played in a dance trio for a long time. So there's this like icon of Cape Breton fiddling, and she says, "Oh yeah, you can sit in." It's like, oh cool. And she had obviously played so many of these dances. She actually was sitting in a chair and she had her elbow leaning on the table. And she's just like, play. But like hardly moving a muscle other than the bow and the fingers. It was pretty amazing. But boy, she could play dance music. So Wes Mabu Hall, obviously written by Jerry for this special place where the Cape Breton squares happen. And here's the other unusual thing about it. It's a march in the key of C. And I am a collector of marches in any key other than A and D. Because honestly, it seems like 80% of marches ever written for Scottish style are in the key of A or D. And then there are some in A minor. And it's like, well, how about other keys? Nope, we don't do that. So when I find a march in a key like C, I'm like, cool. And fortunately, since it's a Jerry Holland tune, it's actually a really good one. So here's the Wes Mabu Hall March. Yeah. Okay, let's give it a shot. So key of C. Every F you play is going to be an F natural. So find them right now. And this one. Every C you play is obviously going to be C natural, not sharp. So that C. Now, there's an accidental a couple of times in this tune of a B flat. So you have to find that note. Most of the B's are normal B naturals, but that is used as a transition. Okay, so. Too much? We'll see. Yes. All right, so next half phrase. Actually, that's just a half bar, but I think we can handle that one, right? Next bit. answered ADD. So those three parts connected. Now, for anyone who may be bypassing the ear learning and looking at the page, you may be noticing I am putting in dots and snaps where they're not indicated on the page. This is because this is customary rhythms for marches in Cape Breton. Nobody plays it. And, it's written. Nobody would play it that way. Now they might vary it a little. So one time it's snapped, the other time it's dotted. Or one player does it that way and the other plays it a different way. But they're all going to be doing something other than playing it equally. So let's get that same phrase again. Third phrase is just like the first. I'm glad we remembered that. One more time on that, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, and the ending. The ending starts like before. All right, let's try that's the entire A part, so let's try putting it together. Okay. All right, let's move right along because this is our third ear tune and we're racing against the brains filling up.
Yes.
So B part goes high. Let's do that a few more. One more. Okay, that was worth playing a bunch of times because most of the phrases in the B part start with this. And then they do something.
Okay.
So it's good that we learned that. So our first 2-bar phrase. Second one starts the same way. Let's add it to the. Okay, third one. Just like the first. And then the ending. This is where the B flat happens. The B flat is the pickup note. Ooh. And then notice that the B is natural again. B flat pickup. I messed that one up. Let's do it again. Yeah. Okay, so we're halfway through the B part now. Let's put that half of the B part together. Let's do it again. Okay, so now the B part goes on, and it starts the same way. And then it has a new final 4 bars. So let's play 12 bars of the B.
Okay.
Okay, and now we're ready for the ending. The ending is a series of arpeggios. So if you learn the pattern, is going to put you in good stead. The pickup note is a B flat. And then here's our pattern. F arpeggio, but starting on the A note. Then a C arpeggio, but starting on the G note. A D minor arpeggio starting on F. A C arpeggio starting on E. Okay, so the initial note keeps going down by 1, right down the scale. The other notes do not necessarily have the same intervals because it depends what part of the arpeggio you're in, whether it's an interval of skipping 1 note or skipping 2 notes.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just sort of autopilot, although if you're real familiar with the arpeggios and you've been practicing them, it becomes pretty automatic. So I always recommend practice your scales, practice your arpeggios. This is where it pays off. So let's try this sequence of arpeggios with a B flat pickup note. Okay, yeah, see, magic, right? If you know your arpeggios, and Becky here obviously does, good for you, and it really helps. So if you don't know your arpeggios, just replay this part of the YouTube video a lot. All right. So we just had the arpeggio sequence. 2 bars from the ending. The ending is almost that arpeggio pattern, but not quite. So let's learn that second to last bar. It starts on F. And that actually is a case where you do have similar intervals. So it's a sequence. And then the same intervals, only starting here. One more time on those 2 bars. Oops, sorry. I better start on the right note, right? Let's try the 4-bar sequence at the end. It started with a B flat pickup note, and then it runs through those arpeggios going down the scale for starters, and then our ending sequence that we just did.
Okay.
Let's do it again. And again. Let's tie it into the rest of the B part, which had that thing that kept coming back. Okay, so let's rediscover that one. B flat. And here's our arpeggios. Yay! Okay. In the interest of time, let's move along to putting the whole tune together. So this involves reminding ourselves, how did the first part start?
Okay.
And it started with long note. Okay, I think it'll sound familiar. Let's do it.
once.
You made it through once.
Do I want to
Okay.
push my luck?
All right. So I'm going to take this little opportunity to talk about Potomac Valley Scottish Fiddle Club, because if you're randomly happening upon this somehow, Potomac Valley Scottish Fiddle Club has monthly workshops, and for 29 years we've been doing this monthly, and obviously for most of our time it has been in-person workshops focused around the Washington DC area, in usually Maryland, Virginia, near Washington DC. When the pandemic hit and we had to go virtual, we started doing them online. We had our tech hiccups trying to figure it out. If you have any tech issues, let us know. Either send a chat or send a message by email to info@PotomacValleyScottishFiddle.org. Let us know what your problem was, and that'll help us figure out how to fix it, because we don't want to have bad workshops. And we are now starting to have in-person as well as streaming. The in-person currently is limited by various pandemic restrictions. So vaccination, mask wearing, and a limited number of people, depending on what space we're doing it in. But there's no reason, if you feel comfortable coming to a workshop of that type, please do come in person. We have a method to sign up so that we know how many people are coming, and so that we can let people know that they are under the reasonable number of limit set for that particular venue. So look for that in the Fiddle Club announcement, but you can anticipate, because Fiddle Club is regularly the second Sunday of the month. So just look ahead to the second Sunday in January 2022 and figure out whether you'd be willing to go to an in-person workshop, or if you want to catch us online. We're going to keep the streaming version of the workshop going indefinitely, as long as that is still useful to people. And as always, any workshop is open door. You can catch us when it's happening live. If you want to look at the archive of workshops, for that you will need to be a Potomac Valley Scottish Fiddle Club member, and you can just go to the Potomac Valley Scottish Fiddle.org website, and it tells you all about how to join the Fiddle Club. That is also a place where there are things for sale, including Fiddle Club workshops, and Becky here is wearing a Fiddle Club t-shirt. Maybe she'll come within range of the camera to model the
That'll make it
t-shirt.
worthwhile wearing it.
There it is, and isn't that gorgeous?
And then my mask even matches.
It even matches. So you can get a Fiddle Club t-shirt. Lots of Fiddle Club members have recordings. Fiddle Club is for all ranges of expertise. So we really have some very, very talented people who come to Fiddle Club, either for the workshops or the jams. And a number of people have made recordings. I have made recordings myself, so I brought some to show. These are my two recent ones. On a Cold Winter's Day, which is very appropriate for the season. And this is my other recent one, Sugar Beet. Wait till you hear this one. And this cover art was done by my daughter, so I'm very proud of it. She is an art student. So check out the things at the Fiddle Club website. There are many resources there. So besides things that you can buy, there's also things that you can read, and information about all sorts of things relating to fiddle tunes. And it is also the place where you can see the announcement and the links. So later on tonight at 6:30, there will be a Zoom jam. There is a Zoom link available if you would like to find out about it. That Zoom jam, after the fact, if you can't join us live, we will put up on YouTube a recorded version of the Zoom jam, so that you can have a jam to play along with at your leisure. Okay, let's go ahead to the sheet music, and you have
I have it.
your sheet music printed out. So on the page 9, which is the first page, book 29, page 9, we have not only the Myrie River Jig, which we learned by ear, but we have a Dan R. Mcdonald tune, Gordon Quigley's Jig. And this is one of those things. Dan R. Mcdonald wrote many, many tunes, and his tunes are collected in these two books, which were put out by his, I believe, his nephew, John Donald Mcdonald. No, John Donald Cameron. Sorry. Okay. And I think the Heather Hill collection is where the version of Gordon Quigley's Jig is printed. Now, the curious thing is that a lot of Dan R's tunes are not played customarily the way they're printed in these books. So you actually have to go find somebody who plays the Dan R tunes and figure out what is the form in which they actually circulate. So that's why instead of sourcing this Dan R tune from the book where it's printed, I've sourced it from Mike Mcdougal. Mike Mcdougal was a player who lived in Ingonish, Cape Breton. That's Victoria County, and that is where I go and hang out when I go to Cape Breton. It's not very far from where I spend my time. And Mike Mcdougal was famous in those parts. And we have featured some of his tunes in the past, recent past. So here's Gordon Quigley's Jig, as played by Mike Mcdougal, tuned by Dan R. Mcdonald. Part one more time because I never played it quite right. That's what I wasn't getting right. Let me do it again. There we go. So that is Gordon Quigley's Jig. Let's try it. that's Gordon Quigley's jig. And Winston Scotty Fitzgerald was one of the people who would play that one. And we featured Winston Scotty a few years back. And so Gordon Quigley's jig, another one in F called the Royal Circus, and a few other jigs in F. They're all together in the Winston Scotty book.
Oh, okay.
And Mike Mcdougal would have known Winston Scotty and probably based his version off of Winston Scotty's. Okay, on page 10, we have a tune from Otis Thomas. And we learned Otis's more famous tune, The New Land, in our October workshop this year. So I thought I'd feature another Otis tune. And like the other one, Otis has published his tunes in this book, The Fiddle Tree, which is not just tunes, but all this stuff talking about violin making. He's an instrument maker, and so it's got a lot of interesting stuff about his life making instruments. So this tune, Lily Matilda, you might think it was named for somebody in his family, and I guess it's sort of true because it's named for his dog. His dog is Lily Matilda. Right, so it says, he had another dog, Fernando, and I believe there is a Fernando tune.
Oh.
But it said, Lily Matilda came to live with us after my dog, Fernando, went off to join the coyotes. So, it says, Lily is a mongrel, half boxer, half poodle, and she's the best dog in the world. Isn't that sweet? This tune is quite a contrast with Glenora Reel, John Campbell's style, which was all about rhythm. This one's less about rhythm and more about interesting chord patterns. And that it has that in common with The New Land, which is also about interesting chord patterns. Okay, here's Lily Matilda's.
It's such a long tune.
Yeah, really, it almost repeats.
Yeah, I could see now.
So I wrote it out instead of writing first ending, second endings, just because in general in Fiddle Club music, I try not to use first and second ending notation. Because a lot of people who come to this music not from a classical background are less familiar with that. But really, that is the only difference. It repeats except for the last bar or two bars in some cases. I think it's just the last bar, actually, just so that the turnaround is a little different depending on where you're going next. So it looks longer than it is. Matildas.
Just a few notes in there. I would like to change.
All right, so that one and Glenora, real on the same page. We learned by ear. So let's go to an old style John Campbell reel on page 11. This is not one that John Campbell wrote. It's one that he played. And John Campbell's father, Dan J. Campbell, I think was the name of his father, was also a noted fiddler in Inverness County. So I would bet that this is one of the ones that he had from his father, whether his father wrote it or just knew it, and it was even older than that. But let me play it for you. I'm going to play it again. So all of those burls are optional burls that replace a quarter note, but they're in there to show you where is a good place to do them. Also, I'm going to point out the wild note, second to last bar of each part. Instead of, because this is vanilla. And I told you that John Campbell would always play the wilder note, right? So it's jumped up one note higher than you think it ought to be. All right. Okay, so I think that would be a fun dance tune.
Yeah.
And with a different pattern than the Glenora.
Right.
Also very rhythmic. It's really built around rhythm more than it's like this melody that you're going to sing to yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, Lament for John Morris. This is John Morris Rankin. And let's see, John Morris Rankin died in January of the year 2000. And it's a very sad story. He was from Mabu. I told you about all the great musicians from Mabu. He and his siblings formed a family band, which at first played little local things, and then evolved to be this, kind of hit group, mostly across Canada, but they toured internationally as well. And I saw them in the States in the 90s. And they would, John Morris Rankin, everybody always called him John Morris. John Morris would play piano, he'd play fiddle in the family band. His sisters sang in Gaelic and in English. His brother would play fiddle. Sometimes Howie Mcdonald joined the Rankin band, filled in. As the band evolved from like a little local group, John was the oldest of his siblings. And at first it was like the older siblings who did it, and then later the younger siblings started being the main members of the band. And in January of 2000, only a few months prior, the Rankin family band had announced that they were officially splitting up. I mean, it's not like they had any disagreement. Mostly they just wanted to not tour as much and be able to stay home and spend time with families. And so John Morris was taking his son and two of his son's friends to a hockey game early in the morning. You know, I guess they were going to play the game. And hit a swerve to avoid a big pile of rock salt on the road. And I don't know if you've ever seen the road on the west coast of Cape Breton, but a lot of it is drop off right into the ocean. And they went over the edge, and he shouted for the boys to swim ashore. And unfortunately, he was killed in the wreck. Wow. So all of the boys survived. Wow. They did swim ashore, but they weren't able to rescue him, and he may have been killed by the impact since he was the driver. So very, very sad thing. John Morris was an incredible musician. He also wrote a number of tunes. He was a composer, and there's a whole bunch of tunes of his that get played. He had a fondness for writing in the key of E. And so Myrie Rankin, who's a fiddle player, she's not one of his siblings. She's probably related, though. She's also from Mabu. And I think he might have been her fiddle teacher as well. But she wrote this in the key of E, and I think that's significant because that was one of his favorite keys.
I thought it was kind of funny when I looked at the music and I said, lament in E, you know, because such a bright key.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's not like one of these. I think it's one that's reflecting on his character more than, you know, mourning over his loss.
Okay.
Realized this tune was composed with repeats, and I left them out.
Oh.
So Myrie Rankin plays this with repeats. So why don't we give it a try? And we'll play it with repeats, so you get a second chance. Morris Rankin tunes in Fiddle Club. Myrie Rankin's reel is in book 1. That is one for his daughter. And
Hull's reel.
Hull's reel and the
Jack Daniels.
Jack Daniels, The Way to Mull River.
Oh.
Those are all John Morris tunes. Okay, let's move right along. On page 12, we have Glen Rennis. I tried to find somebody Scottish pronouncing this on the internet so that I could say it right. And if I've said it wrong, somebody come and tell me the right way to do it. I could not find anybody saying it. But this one is by Charles Grant. He's a 19th century Scottish composer. And he even put out a book, and this tune is in his book. This is not Charles Grant's version. It is very much changed. So this is Jerry Holland's version. He turned it around, so the A part is now the B part. And it definitely has a different feel. So that's why we're doing it in the Cape Breton music section and not like some feature on the compositions of Charles Grant. Here's how it goes. So let's give it a shot. I love this tune. It's like my new discovery. Well, it's not that new because I had it on my list. but it's like after I looked it up from the list, I was like, oh yeah, this is why I wanted to learn this one. Okay, let's go. Just getting into it, but
on the next to last measure of the A part,
yeah,
the last note, is that an F natural or an F sharp? You got a D minor there.
Yeah. I think I forgot to mark it as a natural accidental.
Okay. I mean, it was natural.
Yeah.
It seemed to work when I played it. You know, it came out as a natural, and it sounded good. But.
Yes, I will check into that. I will check both Charles Grant and Jerry Holland.
Okay.
find out the answer to that question. Yeah. All right. Well, let's move along to the next page. We have Gabe Arsenau's reel. By John Campbell. So this is an original tune by John Campbell, but it sounds a lot, that's why I gave you the traditional tune from his repertoire, because it sounds a lot like a traditional tune. And we have had tunes for the recipient of this, Gabe Arsenau. There's a tune that Brenda Stubbart wrote that we had in Fiddle Club many years ago now called Gabe's Hospitality.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's the same Gabe.
Okay.
All right. So, yeah, I didn't want to write it out like I wrote out everything with the first and second endings in Lily Matilda's. So I did this kind of weird thing. So I have a note for the pickup note, and then I have another little note next to it, and that's like the second time when you repeat it, use that pickup note. I didn't want to write out a whole different ending just for that, because these second notes, they are the wild notes. They are what John would throw in rather than like how he would write it. It's what he would throw in. So the first time the pickup note is going to be an A, but when you return, it's going to be a pickup note of a B, just to be wild. And that occurs in the B part as well. Okay, here's the tune, Gabe Arsenau's Reel by John Campbell. Right. So I can just see John going wild. It'd just be like, it would be all over the place. It wouldn't be about finesse. It would just be about this sort of rhythmic kick.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so that's why I'm not going to worry about all the errors that I made for just playing that. It's not, John was never about accuracy. He was about the feel of it. Okay? right. Last tune. The picnic reel. This one has many names. The picnic reel seems that it is a Cape Breton version of a tune by a guy named Con Higgins, who may have originally called it the picnic. And then there's more than one version of it floating around. There's one called the Seventh Regiment. So maybe it was a picnic for the Seventh Regiment. The Seventh Regiment version is way more complicated. It was published in O'Neill's collection of Irish tunes, not as the picnic or the Seventh Regiment, but as Higgins' Best. This is because he published another Higgins tune, which he just called Higgins. And then this tune is in Cape Breton universally played in A as a reel. But when you start playing it as a hornpipe in these more complicated versions, like the Seventh Regiment version, then it sometimes gets turned into a tune in the key of G. And this is no surprise because in O'Neill's collection, a lot of tunes that would be a Scottish version in A turned into an Irish version in G. Also, hornpipes in Scottish tradition have two modes. There's the slowish kind and the fast kind that's played as a reel. And often the tunes will sort of migrate so that they are customarily played as a hornpipe in Ireland, but are known in Scotland as a reel. And so it might be a hornpipe in G in Ireland, but a reel in A in Scotland. Now, this is not unusual. So the most famous version of this in Ireland is a hornpipe in G known as the Flowing Tide. So where did they come up with that name? I don't know. And did it have anything to do with the picnic? And where was the Seventh Regiment in all of this? So here's the picnic as played Cape Breton style. This is from Brenda Stubbart. Okay, be glad you don't have to start off by playing that at full speed.
I kind of like the idea of hornpipe-ish.
It's looking appealing to you, is it?
Look appealing, yeah.
I'll just offer one little tidbit, which is that in these sections with there's all the arpeggio stuff, I just park my finger on the 2 strings, and then it doesn't really matter what I play. Or accurately. Right? So you can get away with a lot if you use those double stops. Just saying. Of course I don't recommend sloppiness, but so anyway, those are our tunes, and I know that you probably have to take off, so Becky will be quietly leaving in the midst of this, and it's down that way. And meanwhile, I have a few more announcements to make, which is that just a reminder, if you do want to attend Fiddle Club meetings in person, there will be a sign-up period in advance of each meeting. So look for something either on the Fiddle Club website or in your email about a week in advance in order to sign up for the meeting. And when we're able to change it to a more open policy, we will be doing that. We'll be watching and seeing what we figure we can manage as a group. And then in the meantime, the streaming will continue. Give us feedback on whether the streaming is working for you. Other important things I need to say. Oh, I have a concert on Monday. Come to it. Institute of Musical Tradition. So look up imtfolk.org and find out about tickets for that. The 7:00 seating is sold out, but the 9:00 still has tickets available. And these attendances are both capped. So that there is a restricted number of people within the space in order to allow for more distancing. But that is a concert I'm doing with Robin Bullock and Ken Kolodner, and it's an annual tradition. So if you find out about it by watching this video months from now, look for it next year in December. It's usually the second Monday in December that we do our traditional concert. All right. I can't think of any other announcements, but I hope that you have enjoyed the Cape Breton tunes. We always spend a little bit of time on Cape Breton music every year in Fiddle Club. It's an important place where Scottish tradition has been kept alive and has evolved, and it's very dear to our hearts, as well as various kinds of music from other parts of the Scottish tradition. I hope you've enjoyed this workshop, and join us at the Zoom Jam at 6:30. Members should look in their email for the Zoom link. And if you do not receive the Zoom link, perhaps because you do not have a membership, please join. And if you want to comment on the YouTube chat stream, all you have to do is create your own YouTube account. That is free, and it has nothing to do with Fiddle Club membership. But that allows you to communicate by chat. If you have any tunes that you would like to be led at the Zoom Jam, even if you're not able to attend by Zoom, you can email them to info@PotomacValleyScottishFiddle.org. So thank you for attending this workshop. It's been a great pleasure playing for you today, and I hope you have enjoyed the tunes. Bye-bye.